Laura doesn't realize the man sitting across from her at the charity gala, the one everyone's terrified of, has been watching her for 3 months. Not because he wants her, because she's the only person who can destroy him. And when his hand closes around her wrist under the table, she understands. This isn't an introduction. It's a claim. The ballroom goes silent. Not the polite kind of quiet that follows a speech or a toast. The kind that happens when a predator enters a room full of prey. Laura feels it before she sees him. The shift in air pressure, the way conversations die mid-sentence, the sudden stiffness in the shoulders of the Korean businessman who'd been boring her with investment talk for the past 20 minutes. She turns. He's walking toward her table. Tall, dark suit tailored so precisely it might as well be armor. Black hair pushed back to reveal a face that's too sharp to be merely handsome. There's something cold in the way he moves. Purposeful. Like every step has been calculated 3 moves ahead. The businessman beside Laura stands abruptly. Bows so low his forehead nearly touches the table, and disappears into the crowd without another word. Laura sits frozen, champagne glass halfway to her lips, as the man slides into the vacated chair without invitation. He doesn't smile, doesn't introduce himself, just looks at her with dark eyes that seem to catalog every detail. The wrinkle in her emerald dress, the slight smudge of lipstick on her glass, the way her pulse jumps in her throat. Laura Chen, he says. His English is perfect, accent barely there. Forensic accountant. Howard and Associates. You've been in Seoul for 6 weeks. Her stomach drops. I'm sorry. Do I know you? You've been looking for me. He leans back, casual. But there's nothing relaxed about the way his eyes pin her in place. You just didn't know it yet. The shell companies. The phantom accounts she's been tracing for the nonprofit audit. The $47 million that moved through 6 countries and vanished into Seoul like smoke. Her fingers tighten on the stem of her glass. I don't know what you're talking about. His hand moves under the table, closes around her wrist. Not violent, absolute. The kind of touch that says I own this moment and you know it. The weight of his hand burns through her skin. She tries to pull away. His grip doesn't tighten, but it doesn't release either. You're leaving with me, he says quietly. Or you're dead before dessert. Laura's breath catches. She scans the room, security, exits, anyone who might help. But everyone's looking away, deliberately, like if they don't see this happening, it isn't real. Who are you? Young-sik. He stands, pulling her up with him. And we're out of time. If you believe the most dangerous people are the ones who don't need to raise their voice to own a room, subscribe right now. Only those who mistake silence for weakness would scroll or watch past this. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. The side exit spills them into rain and cold air and the kind of silence that comes after violence. Laura sees them immediately. Men in black suits flanking every door, hands inside their jackets, faces blank. She stops walking. Young-sik doesn't move. Not until you tell me what's happening. He turns, and for the first time she sees something crack in that perfect control. Not anger. Urgency. They found your apartment 2 hours ago. If you go back, you won't live through the night. They who? What are you? The people you've been accidentally hunting while you chase money that doesn't want to be found. His jaw tightens. The people who kill forensic accountants who get too close. Car pulls up. Black Mercedes, windows tinted. Engine purring like a threat. Young-sik opens the door himself. Laura hesitates. Every instinct screaming at her to run. Then she sees it, blood on the curb near the gala entrance. Fresh, pooling in the rain. She gets in the car. The door slams. Leather seats, expensive cologne. Classical music playing so softly it's barely there. Young-sik slides in beside her. and the driver pulls away without a word. Laura watches the gala disappear through the rain-streaked window. Sees the body now, face down, not moving. Who was that? Someone who asked the wrong questions. Her hand goes to her phone. Young-sik plucks it from her fingers and tosses it out the window before she can react. She watches it shatter on the asphalt, her last connection to the outside world breaking into pieces. You just kidnapped me. I just saved your life. He doesn't look at her. You'll understand the difference soon enough. The city blurs past. Streetlights, neon signs, then nothing but darkness and the sound of rain on glass. The compound rises out of the night like something from a crime thriller. High walls, security cameras, gates that open without anyone touching them. Modern architecture, all clean lines and steel and windows that reflect nothing back. Laura's stomach twists. This isn't protection. This is a cage. They pull into an underground garage. Young-sik gets out, gestures for her to follow. She doesn't move. I'm not going in there. You don't have a choice. There's always a choice. He braces one hand on the roof of the car, leans down so they're eye level. Up close, she can see the gold flecks in his dark eyes, the faint scar along his jaw, the exhaustion he's hiding behind that cold mask. The Gwangju crew has your address, your routine, your coffee order, and a kill team en route to your office by morning. You can get out of this car and die free, or you can come inside and live long enough to be angry about it. He straightens. Choose. Laura gets out of the car. The compound is worse inside. Too clean. Too quiet. Hallways that echo. Cameras in every corner. Young-sik leads her up a flight of stairs, down another hallway, stops in front of a door that looks like every other door. This is your room. Stay inside until I say otherwise. You're locking me in? I'm keeping you alive. He opens the door. There's a bathroom. Clothes in the closet. Food will be brought up. Laura steps inside. The room is nice. Too nice. Silk sheets, modern furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. A gilded cage is still a cage. She turns to argue. The door closes. The lock clicks. Laura runs to it, twists the handle. Locked. She slams her palm against the wood. Let me out. Silence. She turns, breath coming fast, and finds Young-sik still standing in the hallway, watching her through the small window in the door. His expression is unreadable. Then he walks away. Laura slides down the door, heart hammering, and tries to remember how her life became this. 3 months ago, she was auditing a nonprofit in Seoul. Routine work. Boring. Safe. Now she's locked in a compound by a man who looks at her like she's a problem he's trying to solve without breaking. She doesn't sleep, just stares at the city lights and wonders which mistakes led her here. Morning comes with sunlight and the click of the lock. Laura sits up, every muscle tense. The door opens. No one enters. She waits. Nothing. Slowly, she stands, walks to the door, peers out. Empty hallway. She steps out, barefoot on cold marble, following the sound of running water and the smell of food. It leads her to a dining room that's too big for one person. And there he is, Young-sik, sitting at the head of a table laden with breakfast. Suit jacket off, sleeves rolled to his elbows, reading something on a tablet like this is normal. He doesn't look up. Sit. No. Sit down and eat, or I'll have someone carry you back to your room. His voice is flat, final. Laura sits, not because he told her to, because she needs information, and you can't get information from an empty room. He pushes a bowl of rice toward her. Soup, banchan, more food than she could eat in a week. 3 men tried to enter this compound last night, he says, still not looking at her. They're dead. You're alive. Eat. Her hands shake. She picks up chopsticks just to have something to hold. Why am I here? You traced $47 million through 6 countries back to accounts that fund half the underground in East Asia. He sets the tablet down, looks at her. Congratulations. You're now the most valuable woman in Seoul. The food turns to ash in her mouth. I was doing my job. Your job put a target on your back. He leans forward. The Gwangju crew wants you because you can expose their entire operation. They'll torture you for information, then kill you slowly to send a message. Then why don't you just hand me over? The words come out sharper than she intended. Why keep me here? Young-sik is silent for a long time. When he speaks, his voice is quieter. Dangerous in a different way. Because I don't share. The weight of those words settles between them. Laura feels her pulse in her throat, her wrists, everywhere his eyes touch. So I'm your prisoner. You're my responsibility. He stands. There's a difference. He walks out without another word. Leaving her alone with food, she can't eat, and questions that are multiplying faster than answers. The days blur together. Laura demands a phone, a lawyer, contact with the outside world. Young-sik refuses everything. She's allowed to move through the compound, the library, the gym, the gardens, but every door leads to another locked gate. Every window has bars hidden behind expensive curtains. She's not chained, but she's not free. On the 3rd day, she corners him in the hallway outside his office. You're just like him. Young-sik stops, turns slowly. Excuse me? My ex Marcus. The name tastes like poison. He said he was protecting me too. Locked me in our apartment, monitored my calls, tracked my location. Called it love. She steps closer, fury burning through fear. You're doing the same thing, just with a bigger budget. Something flickers in Young-sik's expression. Not quite anger. Something worse. Your ex locked you in an apartment and monitored your friends. He says, voice dangerously soft. I'm keeping you alive. By locking me in a compound and monitoring everything I do? Laura laughs, but there's no humor in it. Same thing. Different tax bracket. His jaw clenches. For a moment, she thinks he might actually respond. Might defend himself. Instead, he turns and walks away. The slam of his office door echoing through the hallway like a gunshot. That night, Laura lies awake, staring at the ceiling. At midnight, she hears footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate. They stop outside her door. She holds her breath. The footsteps move on. At 3 a.m, restless and angry and desperate for answers, Laura gets up. Her door is unlocked now, has been since that first night. She wanders the hallways, expecting to be stopped. No one appears. She finds herself outside Young-sik's office. The door is cracked open. Light spills into the hallway. She shouldn't. She knows she shouldn't. She goes in anyway. The office is exactly what she expected: dark wood, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. But it's the desk that makes her blood run cold. Monitors everywhere. Security footage. Maps. And there, her own face staring back at her from a dozen screens. Surveillance footage from her apartment. Her office. The coffee shop she goes to every morning. Months of footage. She sees herself walking to work, laughing with coworkers, sitting alone at her kitchen table working late into the night. He's been watching her for months. Her hands shake as she clicks through the files. Another folder catches her eye. Gwangju crew, termination orders. She opens it. Photos of men, all marked with red X's. Dates, locations, methodical, clinical. He's been killing them, systematically. Anyone who got close to her. You weren't supposed to see that. Laura spins around. Young-sik stands in the doorway, still dressed despite the hour, eyes dark and unreadable in the monitor's glow. How long? Her voice cracks. How long have you been watching me? He steps inside, closes the door. The click sounds like a cell locking. 6 months. The room tilts. 6. She can't finish. Can't breathe. Why? One of my accountants was skimming. Your firm was hired to audit a partner nonprofit. You found discrepancies. He moves closer, and she sees exhaustion in the lines around his eyes. The accountant panicked. Sold your information to the Gwangju crew as a distraction. By the time I found out, a kill order was already active. So you've been cleaning up your mess. The words taste bitter. Using me as what? Bait? Keeping you alive. His voice hardens. Every name in that file is someone who tried to get to you. Every red X is a bullet that would have been meant for you. You could have just warned me. Laura hears the desperation in her own voice. Let me disappear. Change my identity. Something. They would have found you. He's close now. Too close. She can smell cedar and smoke and something darker underneath. And I couldn't let that happen. Why? The question rips out of her. Why do you care? Young-sik looks at her for a long moment. Then he turns and walks out without answering. Laura stands alone in his office, surrounded by screens showing her own life, and realizes she's not afraid of him anymore. She's afraid of what his silence means. The breaking point comes 5 days later. Laura has more freedom now. Meals with Young-sik, access to the library. Walks in the garden under the watch of guards who pretend they're not following her. But the tension is unbearable. Every conversation is a fight. Every glance loaded with things neither of them will say. She finds him in the west hallway one night, standing by the windows, staring out at the city like he's waiting for it to give him answers. I can't do this anymore. He doesn't turn. Do what? This. She gestures at the compound, at him, at the space between them. You playing God with my life. Making decisions for me like I'm too fragile to understand. You don't understand. His voice is rough. You don't understand what's out there. What they'll do to you. Then explain it to me. She moves closer, desperate now. Stop protecting me from information and just talk to me like I'm a person who gets to choose her own risks. Young-sik turns. The look on his face stops her cold. You think I want this? The words come out ragged. You think I want to care whether you live or die, whether you're safe, whether you think about me the way I can't stop thinking about you. The confession hangs between them like a lit fuse. Then why? He moves, backs her against the wall, not threatening, but close enough that she feels the heat of him, the barely controlled tension vibrating through his body. Because the moment I touch you, he says, voice dropping to barely above a whisper, I won't be able to let you go, and you deserve better than that. Laura's breath catches. She sees it now, the fear in his eyes, not of his enemies, of her, of what she makes him feel. She closes the distance, kisses him first. For a heartbeat he freezes. Then his control shatters. He kisses her back like he's drowning and she's oxygen. Hands tangling in her hair, pressing her against the wall with a desperation that's been building for months. She tastes whiskey on his tongue, feels the tremble in his hands as they map her curves like he's trying to memorize her through touch alone. When they break apart, his forehead is pressed to hers, both of them breathing hard. You don't know what you're choosing, he whispers. Laura looks up at him. This dangerous, beautiful man who's been killing to keep her alive, and feels something settle in her chest. Then show me. His bedroom is darker than the rest of the compound. All black sheets and minimal furniture and windows that overlook nothing but night sky. The door locks behind them with a quiet click that sounds like a decision being made. Young-sik turns to her, and for the first time since she met him, his control is completely gone. He touches her like she's the only real thing in a world of shadows. Reverent and desperate and barely restrained. When he undresses her, his hands shake. When he lays her down on silk sheets, he watches her face like he's terrified she'll disappear. "Tell me to stop," he breathes against her throat. "Tell me you don't want this." Laura pulls him down into a kiss that answers for her. What happens next is raw, claiming, the kind of intimacy that rewrites every rule they've been following. He moves like he's been starving, and she matches him, giving as good as she gets until they're both wrecked and gasping and tangled too tightly to tell where one ends and the other begins. Afterward, lying in the dark with his arm heavy across her waist, Young-sik tells her the rest. "I'm not just protecting you from the Gwangju crew." His voice is rough from use. "I've been dismantling my empire, selling assets, severing alliances, liquidating every operation my father built." Laura goes still. "Why?" "To create an exit." He pulls her closer. "For both of us. But it's not done yet. Until it is, you're still in danger. They're still coming." She turns to face him, studying his expression in the dim light. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since the night I saw you in that coffee shop, working late, completely unaware that 3 of my men were outside making sure no one got close." His thumb traces her cheekbone. "Since I realized I'd burn everything down if it meant keeping you safe." "Why would you do that?" The question comes out broken. "Why would you destroy everything for someone you barely know?" Young-sik looks at her like the answer should be obvious. "Because I already did." If you understand that real love isn't about keeping someone safe, it's about trusting them to survive the danger with you, hit that like button and subscribe now. Only those who've never risked everything for someone would turn away from this truth. 2 days of peace. That's all they get. Laura wakes on the 3rd morning to silence. Wrong silence. She sits up, reaching for Young-sik, but his side of the bed is cold. Empty. Then she hears it, gunfire. Distant but getting closer. She's out of bed before conscious thought catches up. Grabbing clothes, her heart slamming against her ribs. The door opens before she reaches it. One of Young-sik's men, Jun-ho, the second in command, grabs her arm. "Safe room. Now." "Where's Young-sik?" "Handling it." "Move." He drags her through hallways thick with smoke. Past bodies she doesn't let herself look at too closely. The compound is under attack. Full assault. She can hear shouting in Korean, the crack of gunfire echoing through corridors like thunder. Jun-ho shoves her into a reinforced room, all steel and no windows. "Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone." The door starts to close. Laura sees him pull out his phone, sees him smile. Cold understanding floods through her. "Wait." The door slams shut. Locks. She's trapped inside with the man who just sold her out. Jun-ho turns, phone still in his hand, and his expression is almost apologetic. The Gwangju crew sends their regards. Laura's hand closes around the fire extinguisher mounted on the wall. She doesn't think, just swings. The metal connects with Jun-ho's knee. He goes down hard, cursing in Korean, and Laura swings again. His ribs, his shoulder. She's not trained for this, doesn't know what she's doing, but terror makes her vicious. He grabs for his gun. She brings the extinguisher down on his hand. Bones crack. The gun skitters away. She grabs his phone. The safe room door needs a biometric scan. She presses his unconscious hand to the scanner, praying it works. The door clicks open. Laura runs into chaos. Smoke everywhere. The West Wing is on fire. Bodies litter the hallway. Some in suits she recognizes, some in tactical gear she doesn't. The compound is falling apart around her, and she has no idea where Young-sik is. She turns a corner and stops dead. Young-sik is on his knees in the center of the hallway, blood soaking through his shirt. A man in black tactical gear behind him, gun pressed to the back of his head. Laura doesn't think, just screams and charges. The distraction works. Young-sik moves, disarms the gunman with brutal efficiency, breaks his arm, takes his weapon, and puts 2 bullets in his chest before the man can recover. It's over in seconds. Clinical, terrifying, but Young-sik is swaying, bleeding from his side. Laura runs to him, catches him before he falls. "You were supposed to stay in the safe room," he grits out, pressing a hand to his wound. "And you were supposed to not get shot." She pulls his arm over her shoulders, takes his weight. "We're leaving. Now." Despite everything, the blood, the fire, the bodies, he almost smiles. "You're insane. I learned from the best." His men appear from the smoke, shouting in Korean, trying to take Young-sik from her. Laura refuses to let go. When one of them reaches for her, she grabs a gun off a dead body and levels it at them. "Hospital. Now. Or I start shooting and we see what happens." Young-sik laughs, actually laughs, and then passes out in her arms. The private hospital is cold and sterile and full of doctors who ask no questions. Laura sits in the waiting room, covered in blood that's not hers, surrounded by men in suits who won't look at her directly. No one speaks. They all just wait. 3 hours. That's how long surgery takes. When the doctor finally comes out, his expression is carefully neutral. He's stable, sedated. You can see him. Laura is on her feet before he finishes speaking. Young-sik looks wrong in a hospital bed. Too still. Too vulnerable. Machines beep around him, for lines running into his arms, bandages wrapped around his torso. She sits in the chair beside him, takes his hand, and doesn't let go. His eyes open slowly, unfocused. Then they find her. "You should have run," he whispers. "I'm done running." He closes his eyes. She thinks it's from pain. It's not. It's relief. The door opens. A man in an expensive suit enters, not one of Young-sik's men. Older, silver hair, the kind of presence that says lawyer or politician or something worse. "Miss Chen." His English is impeccable. "We need to talk about your future." Laura stands, puts herself between the stranger and Young-sik's bed. "Who are you?" "A representative of certain interested parties." He sets a briefcase on the side table. Mr. Kong's former allies have agreed to let him exit the life, on certain conditions. What conditions? He hands over all financial records, severs ties completely. No retaliation, no revenge. The man opens the briefcase, pulls out a plane ticket. "And you leave Seoul. Return to the United States. No contact. Ever." The ticket sits between them like a blade. "If you stay," the man continues, "the truce is void. He'll be hunted. You'll be hunted. Everyone in this hospital will be dead by morning." He slides the ticket toward her. "You leave tomorrow, or he dies in the next war." Laura stares at the ticket, at Young-sik, still unconscious, at the future being ripped away from her before she even got to choose it. He already agreed to this? He signed the papers an hour ago. Laura picks up the ticket. The man looks satisfied. She tears it in half. "Tell your interested parties that if they want a war, they'll get one." She tosses the pieces on the floor. "But I'm not going anywhere." The man's expression doesn't change. "You're making a mistake. That's my choice to make." He leaves without another word. Laura sits back down, takes Young-sik's hand again, and waits for him to wake up so she can tell him exactly what she thinks about men making decisions for her. Morning comes with pale light through the blinds. Young-sik wakes slowly, his eyes finding her immediately. Then he sees the torn ticket on the floor. His expression hardens. You need to leave. No. Laura. I'm not doing this again. She leans forward, every word deliberate. You don't get to decide what's best for me. You don't get to sacrifice yourself so I can be safe. That's not how this works. If you stay, you'll never be safe. His voice is raw. They'll always come for you. Always. Then let them come. She takes his face in her hands, forces him to look at her. I didn't survive Marcus to let another man control my life. Even if his intentions are better. Even if I love him. Young-sik goes absolutely still. What did you say? You heard me. Laura's voice doesn't waver. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing this. Whatever it costs. Stop trying to make my decisions for me and let me stand beside you. He looks at her for a long time. She sees the war happening behind his eyes. The need to protect her versus the need to respect her choice. Finally, something breaks. You're insane, he whispers. I learned from the best, she repeats, and kisses him. This time, when he kisses her back, it doesn't taste like goodbye. It tastes like a promise neither of them knows if they can keep. But they're going to try. 6 months later, Busan. The apartment overlooks the ocean. Smaller than the compound. Simpler. No guards, no gates, no security cameras watching every corner. Just windows that open and a door that stays unlocked and the sound of waves crashing against the shore. Laura stands on the balcony, watching the city lights flicker on as sunset fades. Behind her, she hears Young-sik moving through the apartment, setting the table, opening wine, doing normal things that still feel surreal after everything. They run a consulting firm now. Legitimate, clean, boring by most standards. Financial consulting for businesses trying to expand into international markets. Pays well enough. Keeps them busy. Gives them purpose that doesn't involve bullets or blood or looking over their shoulders every moment. But at night, when they're alone, there's still that edge. That awareness of how easily normal can shatter. Young-sik appears beside her, hands her a glass of wine, leans against the railing. You're thinking too loud. Just processing. She takes a sip. 6 months ago, I was locked in your compound. Now I'm here, with you, living a life that's actually mine. Do you regret it? Laura looks at him. This man who burned his empire to ash for her, who's learning to build something new from the ruins, who still wakes up sometimes in the middle of the night checking to make sure she's still beside him. Not for a second. She touches his face. Do you? Giving up everything? Young-sik turns to look at the ocean, but his hand finds hers. I didn't give up everything. His voice is quiet, certain. I just chose what mattered. They stand together as night falls over Busan. Two people who found each other in the worst possible way and somehow made it mean something. It's not perfect. They still fight. She's still learning Korean, stumbling through pronunciations while he corrects her with patient amusement. He's still learning to let go of control, to trust her to make her own choices even when those choices terrify him. But it's theirs, and that's enough. Laura leans into him, feeling his arm wrap around her waist, and watches the city lights reflect on dark water. Somewhere out there, the past is still hunting them. But here, in this moment, they're free. What are you thinking? She asks. Young-sik pulls her closer. That I'd do it all again. Even the part where I hit your second in command with a fire extinguisher? Especially that part. He smiles, a real smile, the kind that still feels rare and precious. You're terrifying when you're protecting people you love. I learned from the best, she says for the third time, and this time he laughs. They go inside together, leaving the balcony door open so they can hear the waves. Tomorrow they'll go back to the consulting firm. Back to normal. But tonight they're just Laura and Yongsik. Two people who chose each other when the world said they shouldn't, and made it work anyway. In the kitchen, Yongsik teaches her how to properly cut vegetables for Japshi. She's terrible at it. He's patient. They work side by side, and it's so mundane, so beautifully ordinary, that Laura has to stop and just look at him. What? He glances over, eyebrow raised. Nothing. Just. She shakes her head. I'm happy. That's all. Something softens in his expression. He sets down his knife, pulls her close, kisses her forehead. Good, he says simply. That's all I ever wanted. They eat dinner on the balcony, watching ships move across the dark water, talking about nothing important and everything that matters. And when the night grows cold, they move inside, lock the door, and build a future one quiet moment at a time. If you believe the only empire worth building is the one where you get to choose who stands beside you, subscribe and turn on notifications, because the most dangerous love stories are the ones where no one survives unchanged. Only those who play it safe would walk away from this truth. Thank you for watching.